I wasn't supposed to see him. That's the part that keeps looping in my head. If I'd walked into the kitchen 30 seconds later, or maybe stayed in the shower just a little longer, maybe I wouldn't have caught it. But I did. It was early. Too early for anyone to be moving around after a night like that. I was barefoot, towel around my neck, heading downstairs for some coffee to clear the hangover fog. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone slip up the stairs. Quick, quiet, like they were trying not to be seen. My heart thumped once. Hard. At first, I thought maybe it was one of the guests crashing overnight. We'd thrown a party for my birthday the night before. Amber said she wanted it to be big, special, she kept saying. We'd had drinks, music, the whole thing. I'd stopped counting how many people showed up. But here's the thing. Everyone had left. I remembered that part clearly. The house had gone quiet hours ago, and Amber and I had crawled into bed together sometime around 3 a.m. I was sure of it. So who the hell was sneaking around at 7 in the morning? I crept to the stairs and listened. Nothing. The air felt wrong. Like walking into a room where someone's just had a fight, and you can still feel the heat hanging there. That's strange, heavy quiet. I looked down the hall toward the guest room door. Closed. And then, out of nowhere, Amber called from the kitchen, way too cheerful for the hour. Babe, you want eggs? I flinched. She never made breakfast. I walked into the kitchen, trying to act normal. She was standing there in one of her old t-shirts, hair damp like she'd just showered, smiling too hard. Her phone face down on the counter. The smell of coffee and butter filled the room. Did someone stay over? I asked. She didn't even pause. Nope. Everyone left. You were out cold, babe. I nodded, but I knew I hadn't imagined it. That wasn't the first lie. But it was the one that started everything. I didn't eat the eggs. Amber chatted like nothing was wrong about how funny my friend Louise had been at the party, how she was still sore from dancing, how the cake got destroyed because someone sat on the box, which I later realized she never showed me. It was like she had written a whole morning after script, but my eyes kept drifting toward the hallway, the guest room. It wasn't just the glimpse of someone going upstairs. It was how she said, everyone left without hesitation. Like she'd practiced the answer. Too fast. Too clean. After breakfast, she said she needed to run to the store. We're out of milk, she said, grabbing her keys. The second the door closed, I walked straight to the guest room. Locked? I hadn't even known it had a lock. We never used it. We only kept extra blankets and an old exercise bike in there. That door had never been locked before. My stomach dropped. I knocked once, lightly. Waited. Silence. Then, I went to the garage, grabbed the small flathead screwdriver we keep near the fuse box, and popped the lock. My hands were shaking. I don't know what I expected to find, but the room was empty. Just the same half-deflated air mattress in the corner and a pile of unopened boxes from when we thought we were going to convert it into a home office. It smelled like dust and laundry detergent. I scanned the room again. No one. Then I noticed something. The window was unlocked and open. Not wide open. Just enough that if someone really wanted to slip out, it faced the alley behind our house. Gravel. Fence. Easy to jump. I just stood there, frozen, trying to process it. Was I being paranoid? Was someone really in my house that morning? Did I actually see someone? Or was I imagining it because I'd had a few drinks the night before? But deep down, I knew. That wasn't in my head. Amber came back 20 minutes later with 2 grocery bags and a weirdly upbeat mood. Hey, can you check the mail? She asked as I helped her unload. I think my package from Sephora's in. She didn't ask what I'd been doing. She didn't ask why the guest room door was now unlocked. That night, I checked the front door cam footage. It was blank from 1:15 a.m. to 6:52 a.m. Just nothing. Like someone had deleted it. I didn't know how to access the cam logs beyond the basic app, but I knew one thing for sure. That footage was there yesterday. That night, I pretended to sleep. Amber lay next to me, scrolling her phone in the dark, the screen turned away. I could see the soft blue glow through her fingers. Every time I shifted, she'd angle it further away. She wasn't even being subtle. Eventually, I heard her put the phone on the nightstand. Her breathing slowed. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then I slowly rolled over, careful not to move the mattress too much, and reached for it. No lock. She always locked her phone. Always. But not tonight. I should have felt guilty, but I didn't. That moment in the kitchen, the locked door, the open window, it had all stripped me of any benefit of the doubt. The Messages app was clean. Too clean. No recent text from Dean at all. Not in the inbox, not even in the deleted folder. But when I checked her Snapchat, that's where things started to fall apart. Dean was there. Not just added, pinned. Only 2 saved messages between them. The rest, of course, were gone, set to disappear after viewing. But these 2 had been saved by someone. And one of them said, "That night was everything. Even better than I imagined." The second message was just a heart emoji. That was it. No context. No dates. No names. But my brain filled in the blanks instantly. That night, my birthday. And here's the worst part. I didn't screenshot it. I froze. My hands started shaking, and all I could think about was, if I save this, she'll know I looked. So I backed out, put the phone back exactly as it was. Laid there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I'd just swallowed broken glass. The next day, I tried to act normal. I couldn't eat breakfast. I told her I wasn't feeling well. She gave me a half-sympathetic smile and said, "You're probably just hungover." Hungover. Yeah. That night, I checked again. The messages were gone. Every trace of Dean had been wiped. And that's when it hit me. She knew I looked. She must have known. Which meant she had something to hide. I became obsessed. Not angry, yet. Just obsessed. Like a man who's dropped something valuable down a storm drain and can't walk away, even if it's already gone. I didn't tell anyone. Not my brother. Not even Luis. I didn't want anyone to know how unsure I'd become in my own house. Instead, I started paying attention. Amber always left her phone face down. Always used speakerphone for calls with friends, except for one, which she always took outside or upstairs. I knew it was Dean. I didn't need proof for that part anymore. I just needed to catch her slipping. And she did. One night, she went to bed early, said she was exhausted from work, but her laptop was still open in the living room. Normally, she was careful. Not this time. I opened the lid. She hadn't logged out of her Gmail. I didn't expect to find much. She wasn't dumb enough to email Dean. I figured, but I searched his name anyway. Nothing. Then I remembered Google Timeline. If you've got location history turned on, Google tracks everywhere you go. Amber's was turned on. I clicked into her timeline for the night of my birthday. She'd left the party just after 2 a.m., left the house. A 17-minute drive to the edge of town. A parking lot. Some apartment complex. She stayed there for just under 2 hours. Then came back at 4:18 a.m. I checked her text from that night. There was a 3 a.m. Uber ride in her email. Drop off at Chestnut Place, the same street the timeline showed. But she told me she went to bed right after the party. I stared at the screen so long my eyes burned. When I closed the laptop, my hands were numb. The next day, I asked casually, "Hey, do you remember what time we went to bed on my birthday?" "I don't remember anything after midnight." She didn't blink. "Yeah, you were knocked out. I think I crashed around 1:30? Maybe 2. Lie. Another clean, smooth, practiced lie. I nodded like I believed her. But in my mind, I was already planning the next move. It came from Luis. I hadn't told him anything. I hadn't told anyone. But Luis was at the party that night. He's the kind of guy who always takes pictures, group shots, selfies, goofy candids. He sent me a message out of nowhere. "Bro, I just realized I never sent you these from your party. You gotta see Dean's face in this 1-inch." There were 6 pictures in the message. I didn't even get to the last 5, because the first one stopped me cold. It was taken in our backyard, just after midnight. People were drinking, laughing. The patio lights gave everything a kind of golden glow. In the middle of the frame stood Amber and Dean. She had one hand on his chest. The other was holding a drink, and she was leaning into him. Not just friendly close. Intimate close. Her head tilted back slightly as she laughed, lips parted, eyes locked on his. Dean's hand was on her waist, and they weren't looking at anyone else. Just each other. There were people all around them. Luis, Mia, my cousin Aaron. But Amber and Dean looked like they were alone in a room. And I hadn't seen it that night. I hadn't noticed. I stared at that photo until my eyes started to blur. Until the rest of the world around them faded. Then I zoomed in. Amber's wedding ring was off. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept going back to that picture. Every time I looked at it, I remembered a different moment, not from the party, but from months before. Moments that hadn't meant anything at the time, or at least, I convinced myself they didn't. Like that night last fall, when Amber came home late from girls' night and couldn't remember the name of the restaurant they supposedly went to. She said it was the place with the green sign, near the bookstore, you know. But when I checked later, the only place near that bookstore was a sports bar Dean liked. Or the time I walked into the kitchen and caught them laughing a little too hard together. Dean had just dropped by to borrow a tool. I remember how Amber had gone quiet the moment I entered the room, like I'd stepped into a joke I wasn't supposed to hear. Then there was the Christmas party. Dean had flown in for just one night. Amber insisted we invite him. She even bought a bottle of some scotch he liked, one I'd never seen her buy before. She handed it to him like it was some inside thing between them. I laughed it off. Must be nice to get special treatment, I joked. She just smiled. And now, it wasn't funny anymore. That week, I started going through old texts. Amber's, mine, Dean's. There was a pattern. The nights when she said she was out with coworkers, Dean's location on Instagram stories showed the same bar. When I was out of town for work, Amber forgot to answer calls more than once, and Dean would go dark on social media those same nights. Even stupid things started clicking. The way she dressed up for days I thought were ordinary. The sudden interest in yoga, which just happened to be across town near Dean's old apartment. The way she once laughed when Dean called me Mr. Routine and said she needed more surprise in her life. None of it felt random anymore. It felt rehearsed. I remember asking her, once, a year or two ago, what she thought of Dean. She'd frowned. He's kind of too much sometimes, she said. He doesn't take anything seriously. I nodded. That sounded about right. Now, I know that was deflection. Now, I know she didn't want me looking too closely, because they'd already started something, or were about to. And I was just a convenient blind spot. I didn't plan it. Not really. I thought I'd wait. Thought I'd gather more. Be methodical. Careful. But something in me cracked. It was a Sunday afternoon. Amber was folding laundry in the living room, watching some mindless reality show. I walked in, holding my phone. I had the photo from Louise pulled up, the one with her and Dean, her hand on his chest, his arm on her waist. I just held it up and said, "When was this taken?" She looked up, confused. Then her face changed only slightly, but I saw it. A flicker of recognition. Her mouth opened like she was about to say something, then shut. "Don't play dumb," I said. "It's from my birthday. The night you said everyone left. The night you said you went to bed with me." She stood up slowly, arms crossed. "Are you seriously accusing me of something because of one picture?" "One picture?" I scoffed. "Amber, I know you left the house that night. I saw your Google timeline. I saw your Uber receipt. I know you went to Chestnut Place." Her eyes went wide for just a second, then narrowed. "You went through my stuff?" That's what she grabbed onto. Not the affair. Not Dean. Not the lie. Just the fact that I looked. "I checked because you were hiding something," I said. "You still are." She didn't respond, so I kept going. "I saw the messages on Snapchat. I know you deleted them, but I saw one before it was gone. That night was everything. And I saw the heart. You don't send those to friends, Amber." Still, nothing. Just this tight, defensive posture. Like she was trying to hold in a secret that was already spilling out around her. I stepped closer. My voice was quiet. "Just tell me the truth, please. How long has it been going on?" That's when she broke. "Fine," she snapped. "We kissed that night. That's it. I was drunk. We were both drunk. I regretted it immediately." I stared at her. "Kissed?" "Yes," she said. "That's all. I swear." "No, you don't," I said. And I saw it in her eyes. She knew I knew. She knew the truth was bigger, deeper, dirtier. But she wasn't going to give it to me. Not unless I dragged it out of her piece by piece. "You weren't drunk," I said. "You planned it. You invited him. You deleted the messages. You lied to me every step of the way." She looked down, said nothing. That silence told me everything. I packed a bag that night. Not for her, for me. I needed space. I told her I wasn't going to pretend anymore. I was done asking for honesty from someone who didn't respect me enough to give it. She started crying, apologizing, telling me it was a mistake, and she didn't know why it happened. But I did. It happened because she wanted it to. because I made her feel safe and boring, and Dean made her feel dangerous. And now, the danger had consequences. I stayed with my brother for a while. He didn't ask many questions, which I appreciated. Just offered me the spare bedroom and a beer and said, "You don't have to talk unless you want to." I didn't, at first. I needed silence. Space. Time to let the fog clear. Amber texted me that first night. Then again. And again. The usual stuff. "I made a mistake. Please let's talk. We can fix this." By the end of the week, her tone had changed. "You left me. I can't believe you gave up so fast. Do you really want to throw away everything we built?" It got worse after that. She told her mom I was emotionally distant and controlling, that I'd been spying on her phone and didn't like her having male friends. Her sister messaged me, accusing me of being paranoid. One of Amber's cousins blocked me on Instagram. Then I got a call from a lawyer. She had filed for divorce. And not just that, she wanted a piece of my business. I'd started the company before we were married, but somewhere in the paperwork, I'd made her a consultant on one project years ago, just to show appreciation. Now she was using that to claim partial ownership. She also wanted spousal support. "I gave up a lot for this marriage," she claimed in the filing. But what really shook me, she listed marital misconduct on my part, claimed I had abandoned the marriage, that I was inappropriately aggressive and jealous beyond reason. Dean wrote a statement for her, said I had a history of possessive behavior, that Amber had confided in him for months about emotional neglect. The man who slept with my wife was now testifying as a character witness against me. My lawyer read the statements with a blank expression. "This is theater," he said, "but it's smart. They're trying to flip the narrative and make you the unstable one." I nodded, but I felt sick. How do you fight someone who lies with a straight face? Who burns everything down and then cries because it's on fire? Still, I had something. Remember that deleted message? The one from Snapchat? I'd taken a screenshot after all. Turns out, in the middle of that emotional haze, my subconscious had done something smart. It was saved in my phone's hidden folder, one I forgot even existed. And with it, I had timestamps, metadata, proof, but I didn't show it right away. I waited. I wanted them to go all in on the lie. I wanted to let them walk into court thinking they were untouchable. The courthouse smelled like old paper and floor wax. I sat there in my suit, not nervous, just hollow. The way you feel when you've already lost everything that mattered, and all that's left is proof. Cold, heavy proof. Amber was across the room with her lawyer. She looked sharp, polished, every hair in place. Like she was performing. Dean was there too, sitting 2 rows back. He had on a navy blazer like he was about to give a TED talk on betrayal. I didn't look at them. The judge entered, swore us in. Then it began. Amber's lawyer painted a picture, a marriage slowly eroded by my emotional neglect, a wife trying to find connection, a husband who monitored her phone and abandoned her. She kept her face perfectly still the whole time. No tears, just tragic dignity. Then Dean took the stand. He called me controlling, said I was suspicious by nature, claimed Amber had confided in him for months about how unhappy she was, that I was cold, dismissive, isolated her from friends, that nothing ever happened between them until after I left. He swore to it, under oath, and that's when my lawyer stood up. "Your Honor," he said, "we have digital evidence contradicting that timeline." He pulled up the screenshot, the one with Dean's name, the saved message. That night was everything, even better than I imagined. And then the timestamp, 2:43 a.m., the night of the party, before I left, while I was in the house. The courtroom was dead silent. Then we showed the Uber receipt, the GPS logs, the email from Amber's account confirming the trip to Chestnut Place, the chat metadata showing the messages were exchanged while I was asleep in the next room. Dean's face dropped. Amber shifted. For the first time in the whole process, she looked small, cornered. She avoided my eyes. We even had the photo from Luis, Amber with her hand on Dean's chest, admitted into evidence as part of the pattern of behavior. The judge leaned back, reading everything. Then came the ruling. He dismissed her claims of marital misconduct, said there was compelling evidence of deception, and that the petitioner, Amber, had acted in bad faith. She got nothing from the business. No spousal support. Court costs split. Her lawyer looked like he couldn't get out of there fast enough. Amber didn't look at me as she left the courtroom. Dean was already gone. I didn't smile. Didn't feel victorious. Just clean. Like I'd finally pulled a knife out of my back after pretending it wasn't there for months. I didn't go out to celebrate. No bar. No drinks. No victory lap. I drove home. My real home. The one I'd built before Amber ever entered the picture, and just sat on the back steps, staring out at the yard. The same spot where that photo was taken, her hand on his chest, her wedding ring missing. It didn't even feel like my yard anymore. It felt like a crime scene. I thought I'd feel something. Relief, anger, satisfaction. But mostly, I just felt tired. People keep asking me if I'm okay now. I tell them I am. And mostly, it's true. I sleep better. I eat again. The silence doesn't feel like punishment anymore. Amber tried to reach out once after the ruling. Just a text. I hope someday you understand why I did what I did. I never responded. Because I do understand. She did it because she could. Because she thought she wouldn't get caught. Because some part of her liked the attention, the secrecy, the thrill of betrayal behind a smile. She liked playing both sides, feeling wanted by two men. She liked having the power. And Dean? He wasn't a villain. He was just weak. The kind of man who takes what isn't his and calls it a connection. A parasite in best friend's clothing. But the worst part? It wasn't the lie. It's that they thought I was too blind to ever see it. Too boring to ever leave. Too decent to ever fight back. They were wrong. I fought. I proved the truth. And I walked away with my name clean, my dignity intact, and a soul that, while bruised, is still mine. She lost everything. And I didn't have to lift a finger. She did it to herself. I kept thinking about that hand on his chest. The open window. The Google Maps timeline. The deleted messages. All the little things I brushed off, explained away, forgiven without even realizing. And worst of all, I kept thinking about what else I hadn't seen. How long had this been going on? Was it just that night? No. That photo told me everything. That wasn't new chemistry. That was familiarity, practice, habit. They'd done this before. And somehow, I'd let it all happen right under my nose.